Good evening. Please take a seat. We welcome, on behalf of API and All India Institute of Medical Sciences, please take a seat.
Dr. Srinivasan for opening up the CEO forum. Thank you, everyone, all colleagues, dignitaries, healthcare professionals who are out here attending the 17th Global Health Summit, which is being done by API in collaboration with All India Institute. This is one of our signature events that API has every year. API, as all of you know, is the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, and we represent over 200,000 physicians in the United States. So once again, without further ado, I would like to have Dr. Srinivasan go ahead and start the CEO forum. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening. This is an interactive CEO forum, and we have people of excellent and distinguished service who are here to share their expertise and knowledge as to how healthcare has been affected or helped by technology. I will announce the names. Please come and have a seat so that we can have an interactive session. We'll start with Air Marshal Sadhana Nair, please. Mr. Sudarshan Jain. Mr. Saurav Kesara. He's not here. Mr. Samuel. Who else is here? Dr. Robinson. Shania Robinson. Anybody else I have missed out? Okay, I'll give a brief introduction of all the distinguished people here. And of course, all of you would have got the souvenir. So let me start with Dr. Robinson. He's a dynamic leader in the field of healthcare, over 35 years of experience. And he serves as a director of KTEX Health, which is dedicated to offering comprehensive strategy and management solutions that span for more than 3 decades. He also provides valuable picture, guidance, and consultancy services to a wide range of healthcare-related enterprises. He also holds the position of chairperson within the CII, that is Confederation of Indian Industry, Technical Committee on Health, where he contributes his wealth of knowledge and experience in furthering in the industry. He is also in the board of advisors for Rishihood University, which is an emerging educational institution that has a unique ecosystem-based approach to learning in India. The format is going to be very informal. It will be a question and, what they can share as to how each one has dealing with technology and how the technology has helped the services that they are providing. Dr. Air Marshal Nair assumed the appointment not too long ago, becoming the Director General of the Armed Forces. She is a graduate of Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, and she holds a postgraduate degree in family medicine and has undergone an extensive training in fields that some of us have heard or read only. And she is the first and only women principal officer of the Western Air Command and the Training Air Command. She has been awarded many medals, and the most interesting thing is 3 generations of her family over a period of 7 decades have been in the Indian Air Force, which we are very proud to have her in our panel and welcome her on our API behalf. Mr. Sudarshan Jain is Secretary General of the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, and is a senior advisor also. Any pill, any medicine, injection, any tablet that you take, or injections and injectables, are he has served in leadership positions and over 40 years, and has been the managing director of Abbott Healthcare. He includes many portfolios, and all these things are, you can see it in your souvenir. And he's an alumnus of St. Stephen's College and Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. Dr. Saurav Kasara is still not here, but I guess when he joins, we'll have him included. Mr. Samuel is a full-time member and board of management of the Vinayak Medical Research Foundation. He is a professional with extensive experience and the various industry sectors that includes FMCG, life sciences, technology services, higher education, and healthcare. He's a mechanical engineer from the University of Madras with a BBA, and has had strategic management from Cornell University, USA. He has worked both in the US as well as in India at different capacities, and that some of them include Kaiser Permanente, Anderson, MD Anderson, Henry Ford Health System, and currently he is now managing oversees the healthcare delivery services for a multi-specialty hospital in Salem, and plays a very pivotal role in implementing distributed cancer center network by collaborating with Karkinos Healthcare. He has initiated multidisciplinary approach research programs through the Innovation and Incubation Lab of Vinayak Medical Research Foundation, and works with medical education, and he is always on the lookout to see how the healthcare delivery to the rural sector can be improved. There is always room for improvement in any sector, and he is very passionate about doing it. So we welcome Mr. Samuels. With this in mind, I'd like to start with the first panelist, Air Marshal Nair. Could you share your experience with how technology has helped you in the armed forces? I mean, in many ways, like some of us either hate or love technology, and could you share your experiences? There is, whenever something new comes, there is always disbelief and rejection, and finally we embrace technology, and starting with Microsoft or Google or anything. So I would like to have you share your experience as to how this is shaping the care of the armed forces in general, and any further things that you think could be used for the ensuring delivery care of the armed forces personnel, without whom many people cannot sleep.
So thank you very much, sir, for your kind introduction. In the armed forces, we've come a long way as far as the impact of technology on healthcare goes. So initially, it started off with the collaboration with the Indian Space and Research Organization, ISRO, where a number of telemedicine nodes were set up. And these were used to transmit data from the field areas, located at the remote air bases in the ships, and the glacier, Siachen Glacier, high altitude areas where we only used to have paramedics. So the ISRO nodes and the satellites, we use them to transmit patient information to the doctors who were sitting in tertiary care centers, hospitals of the armed forces. So it started like that. We have a number of them spread all across the country. And these are very important because you see in the battle zone, you can't have a specialist or a super specialist. What we normally have is a regimental medical officer there. And even the regimental medical officer will not be able to go right up to the place where the actual battle takes place. So these ISRO nodes, telemedicine nodes, were very, very helpful and are still very helpful. We've also advanced a lot. All of us know the impact of WhatsApp. Now with WhatsApp coming in, all our bases, whether it is in the Air Force, whether it is in the Army, or whether it's in the Navy, they all connected. Even you may find it difficult to believe, but even at altitudes as high as 14 to 15,000 feet above mean sea level, where many of our bases are there, we have the connectivity, the Wi-Fi connectivity to transmit to bases which are at a lower altitude. And so WhatsApp, in a way, being such a simple thing, has actually transformed in some way, I may say, done has taken over the role of what were the telemedicine nodes earlier, because it's so much easier now. You just take a photograph of or a picture of the ECG or the X-ray, or do a video call. So WhatsApp has actually revolutionized the impact of technology on healthcare delivery in the armed forces. In addition, we are looking at a number of things like artificial intelligence aiding in decision making, then robotics, the use of in surgery. All of us know it's made a huge impact on surgery, so all that has come into the armed forces. Then we have 3D printing, our artificial limb center, which is in Pune, which makes limbs for our amputees who are injured in war, who have disabilities. That is also has got the facility for 3D printing. It is in collaboration with IIT Mumbai. So this is another thing. We have gone into MOUs with a number of IITs and technical institutions like IIT Delhi, AIMS. In fact, AIMS, we are in the process of finalizing and MOU with AIMS for bringing in further advanced technology into biomedical research. We are in the advanced stage of signing MOUs with IIT Kanpur. I was there 2 weeks back, and it's the final stage with IIT Chennai. So we are looking at collaboration in the armed forces, so that our soldier who's sitting, our soldier or the airman or the naval personnel who's sitting on a ship or a submarine, gets the same quality of care almost the same quality of care which he would get on a near a land-based tertiary care hospital. We are looking at use of drones for delivery of medicines, for delivery of AEDs, the defibrillators to the war zone. So this is what all we are looking. We made some small steps in these directions, like I've mentioned, but there's a whole vast arena in front of us, so that ultimately the man who's standing there at the border or who's guarding your seas and skies feels as secure health-wise as he makes us feel secure. And also we are looking at wearables and smart wearables and distant remote health monitoring. Now with our air crew especially, or with the people, again, like I said, any place in the battlefield, or our air crew who are going up in the aircraft, we would like to know their parameters, not only in the form for research purposes, but also to early detection of any condition which occurs while they are in the air. Early detection of fatigue is something we are looking at. Now, fatigue is something which world over, you don't have very simple tests to determine if a person is fatigued, but it's very important, especially for our air crew, because if a pilot is fatigued, we know it can lead to major mishaps. So we are still to find. There's some studies, research going on at the Indian Institute of Aerospace Medicine. Then since we are in the process of sending a man to the moon, which is the Gaganyaan mission. So there's a lot of work going on with ISRO again at Bangalore at the Institute of Aerospace Medicine, where again a lot of work is going on how to bring technology for all these things which I've talked about. So I think this is a very, very useful, this seminar I wish could have been attended by, CME could have been attended by a larger number of people from the armed forces, because this is definitely something which is the future, not the future, possibly in the next decade. The person who has technology is the one who's going to lead the world. So that's all I would like to say, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Air Marshal. We look forward to participating with you and the other services of the armed forces. Now, I'm pleased to inform that Saurav Kesara is here, and he's been the backbone for RP, and I think that he has been on many continents. He didn't go to New Zealand yet, right? He has been on many continents. I think he has been in Asia, Africa, with his healthcare innovation, and he's competing with me because there are a few places I have not been, and so we are equal almost. So, any case, even today's program, you would have noticed that ClearNet is there, the huge presence, and how they are connecting doctors and improving healthcare across India as well as the world. The number of doctors that he has on his database is very strong, and we'll be asking him a little bit later as to how technology has helped them and across the board. We welcome Mr. D.R. Karthikeyan to our group, and he's been in the past. He has had the CBI Director General, Director and Central Director General of National Human Rights. He's Chief of SIT CBI. I think he belongs to the Karnataka cadre, if I'm right. Because I think I met you once with my uncle Mani Narayan Swami. Yeah, and welcome, sir. And we hope to get your input about how technology has helped you or hurting you later on. Thank you. Please welcome Mr. D.R. Karthikeyan, former IAS officer. Mr. Sudarshan Jain, any one of you here take pills, injections? Nobody has taken it? Okay, you are relatively healthy, but he's the man who's going to help us gain more knowledge about how technology is helping his group of pharmaceutical association. Mr. Sudarshan Jain, please share your knowledge, expertise, what problems you have faced, how you handle it, and what are you looking for?
So thank you very much, Dr. Srinivasan, and it is my privilege to be part of a very distinguished panel here. It is always great to be associated with API. I've been associated with this organization for almost a decade. So whenever there's an opportunity, I make it a point to attend. I will just give a background of my association and then talk about how technology has helped it. IPA consists of 25 top companies in India, which contribute 60% of domestic sales, 80% of exports from India, and 85% of R&D expenditure as far as pharma industry is concerned. We can realize the importance of Indian pharma industry. 20% of medicines in the world are sold from India. Every third tablet in US is sold from India. Every fourth tablet in Europe is sold from India. And if something happens to the Indian pharma industry, the world healthcare system can come to a halt. 60% of vaccine around the world is sold from India. I remember vividly 24th of March 2020 when COVID was announced in the evening, and on the next day morning we started getting the call from US, WHO, everyone, that what will happen to the medicine supplies around the world. The question that was raised that time is the life important or livelihood is important. Everyone was asked to stop going to office, work from home, but how do you produce medicine if everyone works from home? And that was the biggest challenge we had. We are proud to say today, Government of India and pharma industry work together, and today pharma industry is pride of the world. The difference was technology. This is the only time in the life history of a nation, of an industry, there is a problem of a supply side. You are not sure where your raw material will come in, because we were not sure of getting APIs from China. They were suffering from COVID. We were not sure how the COVID spreads around the world and even in India. And when the demand is not clear, supply is not clear, how do you make sure that the medicine is available for which everyone is surviving? It is like when you are at home, you invite 5 guests and there are 200 guests who land up without knowing from where will you get the vegetable and who will cook the product. So first thing which we did is Government of India and we worked together and declared pharma industry as an essential industry. Point number one. Point number two is we used to have, and what's, madam, you were talking about WhatsApp group. 6 CEOs of IPA companies, we used to meet Zoom, WhatsApp group, technology. We never thought that can make a difference. 10 o'clock every day without fail for 6 months in a year. We will meet, work out what are the production which has taken place, what are the issues, report to the government in the evening what has happened, where is the problem, Buddy, is this problem, what needs to be done. And the internal systems in the companies got aligned. So the ERP systems in the companies where everyone used to operate with their own silos. Manufacturing will not share the data with quality, quality will not share the data with supply chain. Everyone in a month's time got assimilated that if we have to supply medicines to the world, there is no alternative but to use technology. Point number one. It is such a matter of pride. In the first month, in the April month, I remember, we could supply only 20% of the demand to the world. And there was hue and cry whether we can make it. I was talking to Tedros, WHO thing. He said that you have been able to supply only 20%. So yes, we have been able to supply 20% because how do you get workers from home to factory? Because they have to go back to their home. And what do? That they can't touch the paper, they can't touch the door. How do they come to work? So first thing is getting everyone at the place and connecting the system. So whether it is demand forecasting, we started using Google data, how the incidence of COVID is happening around the world. In the city like India, what is the incidence in Jaipur, what is the incidence in Chennai, making sure start predicting demand levels. So when you have got demand levels using technology, relatively more clearer, then you start working on supply side. What is the supply you are getting from raw material from API? You start maintaining the higher inventory, and then you start working of delivery of the product. And you have got connected systems of digitalization, which makes you work together to make things happen. Point number one. So ERP system, which in a normal situation should have taken around 5 to 8 years or 10 years. In 1 year, in 8 to 9 months time, we were on with the system. Point number one. Who could have imagined in the world that India can develop vaccine in 9 months time, 10 months time? Because vaccine development takes around 10 years time. But the company like Serum Institute, Bharat Biotech, and the government worked together, and we were able to develop our own vaccine in 9 months' time. Again, using technology, again, using clinical trials, multiple centers, and collating the data. Again, using WhatsApp applications, Zoom calls for approval with the regulatory authorities. So there was a lot of mission, Jill, that everyone has to work together to make sure vaccine comes in, because if we don't have the vaccine, how do we as a country survive? And we are proud to say that 2.4 billion vaccination took place in this country. Then the point is, here is the only country in the world where you take vaccination in Delhi and you can go to Bombay, you get your certificate, Covaxin. There is no shortage of vaccine supply when we go there. Needles are available, nurses are there, and every system works in unison. Again, the advantage of technology. Not possible in any part of the world. But we made sure that vaccination done, vaccination developed, products are approved, whether it is remdesivir or whether it is vaccination or whether it is any amphotericin, because we were having different kind of problems. No one can anticipate, but the use of technology made it happen. Third issue is, yes, doctors are not working, you are at home, COVID spreads. This is the time when oximeter reached every house. This is the time when blood pressure instrument was there at every home. This is the time when many of the users, I've got a product, Libre Pro, diabetes monitoring was taking place. And everything is connected with the doctor. To your doctor, you are supplying on WhatsApp. This is my daily chart of my temperature, oxygen, and my glucose meter. And doctor is giving information, telemedicine. Help hell of a lot. So the use of telemedicine and delivery of medicine through the telemedicine thing, supply of medicine to tele-retail chains, pharmacy and other people, they got into the motion. So whether it is product availability using ERP system, whether it is development of the product, whether delivery of medical services, and whether it is supply of products, there is use of technology. We didn't stop here, because what happens, we have done a lot of work in IIM Ahmedabad, and I've got great advantage of Dr. Sadhana Naik sitting here. We do a lot of work in documentation of ward history, but we never do documentation of the work which we do in medicine using technology. So IIM Ahmedabad have done out a case study with IPA, where we have documented what needs to be done further. We are trying to work on the work which has been done in COVID in terms of discovery of medicine, how technology can be done, and we will see a lot of changes taking place there. Drones, how have to be used, and I am also pleased to announce here in this group that there are plants in India which are without touch, the medicine is manufactured. They are Project Lighthouse plants. There are 2 plants, one by Cipla and second by Dr. Reddy's at Indore and Hyderabad, which have been declared by World Economic Forum as the best manufacturing plant in the world. There are only 16 plants, pharma plants, use of technology, making products available, everything connected, and making sure that the products are there. So the 3 things which we see going forward: combination of digital, drugs, and diagnosis. 3 Ds will make the difference, and India is going to play a fundamental role as far as pharmaceutical is concerned. We call ourselves as pharmacy of the world, and we will live up to that reputation. We made difference to the world. We are proud of our pharmacy manufacturers. We are proud of our doctors. Many of you are here. We are proud of our supply chain partners who made sure that the medicines are available. We learned a hell of a lot in the process, and we will continue to work on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Where do you think there is room for improvement? In, we all have some obstacle course to run into. Where do you think the technology can be improved?
Can I answer?
Yes, yeah, please. I'm asking on behalf of the audience.
Basically, in the innovation game, India has been very good in generic medicines. We have not been as good to use technology in terms of discovery game. And the name of the game in future is discovery. A vaccine, what we manufactured was through extra collaboration. We didn't develop our own vaccine.
So you're talking about innovation?
Innovation.
Okay.
And second is still the behavior change. Many of the time it is emergency, you use the methods, but once the emergency is over, we in India or any part of the world, you try to get back to what you've been doing. So reinforcing that behavior and keep on realizing that innovation, there is important thing, and continue use of technology to make that.
Thank you, sir. The next one is Mr. Samuel. We are giving a different perspective of how healthcare and technology is helping or shaping care to all our persons, whether you are in the government sector or in the private sector or in the rural sector. Samuel is a board member, executive member of the Vinayak Medical Research Foundation, and I would like him to share his experience, how he started, where he is now and where he plans to go, and how he is using technology to address all these issues. Sometimes we get roadblocks, like viruses. We have computers and we think we have a firewall, but most of them get around the firewall. They really don't break into the system. But so, Mr. Samuel, please go ahead and share your experience and address some of the problems that you also are facing and how one can resolve it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mani Srinivasan. It's my pleasure with this eminent panel on this forum to discuss something very specific on the healthcare technology interventions that is happening. To give a brief background about Vinayaga Missions Research Foundation, we are a 4-decade-old health sciences centric university, deemed to be university based in southern part of India. We are spread across both in Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, with 4 medical institutions as part of the group. And we have so far produced more than 5,000 plus medical doctors and around close to 1,800 plus super specialty doctors, apart from the other facets of health sciences, starting from dental to pharmacy to homeopathy, nursing, allied health sciences, and also physiotherapy, and also with regard to rehabilitation and behavioral sciences. Said that, I would like to highlight in terms of some of the technology interventions that we embarked in VMRF, which is in works, and also with regard to something where we have also accomplished in terms of some very specific outcome, which is really helping in terms of the next set of our strategic initiatives. So we being a medical educational institutions, which is a private institution, we have specifically looked in terms of the technology interventions that can support on the academic side. So at an academic level, there are 3 specific initiatives that we run in VMRF. One is with regard to specifically around the simulation. Using FAMER protocols and structured approach, we have established state-of-art skill labs, including a very specific focus on high-fidelity missions that we are setting up in VMRF in the next quarter. So this really helps in terms of a great practical orientation, which also helps in terms of both VR and AR. And the augmented reality and the virtual reality, which can also be further extended into a mixed reality, which would help in terms of the curriculum and the skilling of these doctors. Definitely in India, the familiarization for technology within the budding doctors or the medical student is very imperative. So we have introduced this entire skill-based training program as part of our curriculum with this high fidelity and also with this comprehensive skill lab right from the first year itself. Not only that, what we have also done is the entire MBBS student right from first year go through a very specific program on clinical key. The clinical key is a very comprehensive digital database where a student is able to get a complete understanding on the repository of the medical knowledge base that is available, and also has an ability to connect with some of the in-thing that is happening with the medical fraternity globally. And this has been supported by Elsevier, and we have this integrated in our curriculum plan. Another thing, this is at the undergraduate level. When it comes to postgraduate level, we have also gotten a specific technology portal which helps in terms of completely managing a resident, what we call in US and here more of a postgraduate studies, throughout the 3 years of the program, how they get very specifically trained and monitored and supported with regard to a e-portfolio framework that helps all our PG students to further continuously hone their skills and also produce timely outputs, which gets evaluated by our faculty on a timely manner, and feedback is given where the student is further able to look in terms of some of the areas that you need to improve upon to enhance his skill. So all these things, the 3 things what I said at a curriculum or academic level, this technology interventions has really helped in terms of our students to have a good familiarity with regard to technology to start with. When it gets further extended, we also urge our students to be focused with regard to the research related activities, which is very important, and India has long way to come with regard to research at a college level. and all the national institutions are pretty much flushed with funds. Whereas when we come to private players, I mean, we have made it a point that very specific investments go in terms of nurturing the research at undergraduate and also postgraduate level. So the extension of all this technology intervention at curriculum and through this frameworks, technology framework, has helped us to also support the multidisciplinary research. In fact, we are 15,000 plus student base in the southern part in our university, deemed to be university. 65% compromises specifically with regard to the health sciences area, and another 30+% constitute with regard to the non-health sciences. So what happened is we have created this digital platform where a collaboration can happen between a non-health sciences streams, be it engineering or law, and also with regard to our medical college students to carry out multidisciplinary research. So this combined factor of academic and research supported by a technology framework right from the beginning, right from first year, throughout the undergraduate and postgraduate programs, has also yielded in some very specific outcome and outputs, wherein it is also getting translated into patents. And we also have innovation labs, which is completely digital, which helps in terms of the necessary support a student might require, getting more familiarized with artificial intelligence, deep learning, or with regard to machine learning, and how they can relate with regard to their own academics. So this is one specific thing with regard to academics and research. We also done a lot of work with regard to the community health program. What we have done is, I mean, through India nowadays, Ayushman Bharat program is going on, where most of the community, the entire population is getting digitalized in a way. Right now, Aadhaar is one initial digital record that we have. Taking it further, we are working on creating longitudinal health record, which helps in terms of looking at a very specific village or a hamlet on a specific disease pattern and trying to see how we could create a longitudinal health record for that specific village, which can be further supported in terms of the necessary interventions at a healthcare level, be it at a primary, secondary and tertiary area. And this entire the community health program is also well supported by telemedicine, wherein we have a regular intervention on all the care elements that need to be planned at different levels, where support is provided by telemedicine at a central locality from our institutions. The other area that we are also focused upon is with regard to some corporate related HIMS initiatives, where we call it as Hospital Information Management System. You know, in India, the very patient health information or HL7 communication protocols are very minimally used or not used for that matter. Slowly, government is trying to bring in the necessary data security and personal privacy related protocols in place. Nevertheless, at this point of time, if you look back, what has happened and what is currently happening also, there's a lot of compromise that happens with regard to the patient health information. Data security is always not managed well. So with all these things happening, we have working with some of the hospital information management system vendors, how we support them in terms of creating and enhancing this HIMS platform with more of data security in line to HL7, in line to PHI, and also with regard to the data privacy protocol, what it is getting into an act very shortly. The other thing that I also wanted to talk about is with regard to partnership technology initiatives. In fact, we are working with a partner who is providing an end-to-end cancer care in terms of establishing distribution cancer care network, particularly in Tamil Nadu and also in Pondicherry, wherein the entire life cycle I will not call it as a patient. We go in terms of early detection, in fact creating awareness through our community health program digitally, and also in terms of some of this the radio clips and all these things, where we try to create this awareness and then move in terms of screening of the individuals, the people at that particular village, and then take it to the next level in terms of a longitudinal health record, which supports the entire journey from there on for any non-communicable diseases. And specifically for this distribution cancer care network, we have come out to the framework wherein it helps in terms of early detection and then taking them through the necessary, if there is awareness, and also we also go in terms of creating this vaccine support that can happen at HPV vaccine, and then taking through with regard to the treatment protocols at different levels. So this entire thing, we call it as a distribution network system. And this entire thing has been supported by a company called Carkinos, where they have developed a very comprehensive digital platform for all this early detection and with regard to the treatment, and also with regard to the end-to-end care up to a palliative care. This comprehensive framework we have partnered with in terms of implementing these services both in Pondicherry and also in the state of Tamil Nadu. So that is to give a nutshell in terms of what we are doing. And needless to say, we have eminent people talking about how the COVID thing was managed. One thing that I want to highlight is in similar lines, how the WhatsApp group has helped in terms of, we managed close to 3,000 beds during the COVID time between Pondicherry and Tamil Nadu, which comes under the umbrella of EMRF. All the 3,000 beds was well supported with the technology enablement, starting from WhatsApp, and also with regard to the telemedicine, and also extended in terms of some of this communication protocols through IT, which really helped in terms of managing effectively this COVID situation too. So that is to give a brief about BMRF and our technology initiatives, what we have.
Thank you again. And I have great regards for WhatsApp, and I have been flooded with messages from WhatsApp University and Facebook College on COVID situations, like, can you take this medicine or that medicine? And, if they are not satisfied, they go to Dr. Google. And if they are not still satisfied, they go to Dr. Yahoo. So finally, they come to me, or some of us who are in the medical field will be flooded with these questions. Yes, WhatsApp is helpful, but it can be a nuisance at times. So no harm in that. What I want to know is about the student education. Are you folks considering, or are you using simulation robotics in the early stages of your training?
Simulation, yes, right from the first year onwards, they get exposed.
Okay.
Robotics is more of an extension.
Okay.
At this point of time, there is not much of focus on robotics.
Okay.
But simulation, yes, that it creates a much more high fidelity simulation
Yes.
programs and the missions. It really gives a much more deeper skill learning as well.
Thank you, sir. As we move on, and thank you for your patience and not using your cell phone. If you must use your cell phone, please use it outside. And again, thank you for your cooperation. Now I'm asking Dr. Shania Robinson to share his experience and what he thinks could be done and improved as far as healthcare management. Sir, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir, for the question that you put. Healthcare management. It's a universe. So I would focus on a few things which I think are pertinent both from the audience, which is probably a mix of Indian Americans, and also what is the potential and where are the possibilities of collaboration, and where can we actually look at some areas which are out of the box thinking, in terms of what we would say out of the box solutions. So we and I don't want to get into what we do. We are basically advisors to hospitals in terms of management, in terms of setting them up, and also investment in healthcare. So we evaluate hospitals, we evaluate healthcare projects, we evaluate health technology initiatives, primarily from the perspective of whether it will deliver what it is supposed to deliver, and whether the second thing is it will make money. It's very simple. So when we look at, I will talk at maybe 2 or 3 points. One is hospital management. Pretty boring. Looks like a very simple thing. But it is something that probably the whole world, which is involved with hospitals, is battling with. So whether it's US healthcare, I'm familiar with that to some extent, Indian healthcare, and other countries, hospital management is a challenge. It's one of the most complex organizations to run a hospital. And one of the biggest challenges that at least we face in India, and which US is also facing, is waste. So there is, I mean, if you look at lean methodology, we talk about 8 kinds of waste that are generated in a hospital. One kind of waste is just waiting. So whether it's the patient waiting or the physician waiting or a nurse waiting, it's a huge waste. The second thing is unnecessary motion. So, nurses, doctors, they just keep running around trying to get things which should be available. So I'm talking about 8 kinds of waste, and we're just picking up 2 and then inventory. So if I look at public sector, there's a huge amount of waste there in terms of inventory, in terms of equipment, in terms of human resource not being utilized properly. And if we can just quantify that, it will be probably billions. And if we could just harness maybe 10 to 20% of that, it would be powerful. So when we look at elimination of waste, we did an exercise with McKinsey in Apollo when I was heading Apollo. We found that, we could increase the EBITDA levels of a hospital which was performing at 32% EBITDA at that time. We raised it by 3% to 35%. Now that is huge because 32% at that time was massive. I'm talking about EBITDA. So how did we do that? And there were multiple initiatives that took place where we were able to eliminate waste and utilize human resource effectively. The thing is, without technology, that would have been impossible. So one is, can we standardize operations of hospitals? And the biggest challenge comes from me and my colleagues, which are doctors. We have a problem with standardization. We believe that we will lose our autonomy. And so we challenge anything to do with standardization. So as hospital managers or hospital owners or as board level, we have to understand and get the physicians' buy-in. And how do you get that? The physicians' buy-in comes from the fact that can we help them to utilize their time more powerfully and more effectively. So anything that we do, we have to get the physician buy-in. And the only way to do that is get them involved. So this is one thing that I would like to emphasize on. All of us have handled HMIS, IT, telemedicine, telehealth, telemonitoring. You tell me the biggest hurdle that we find is physician engagement. And the way to handle physicians, if you can get some kind of a magic pill, if the drug manufacturers could create something of that kind, I think we would probably succeed. We would be rock stars. So can we standardize processes? Yes. 80 to 85% of hospital processes can be standardized. Unfortunately, we haven't done it. In India, every hospital, private, government, works on its own systems. You ask them, which system did you get it? Oh, my senior used to tell me to do it like this. My senior used to tell me like this. So, it's like 40, 50, 100 years old systems that we are still using. So, standardization of process will be one of the key enablers for effective utilization of resources for providing healthcare. And then the other boring thing is HMIS, and my colleague here mentioned HMIS. When I talk to IT guys, they say HMIS, it's red ocean. It's like, there's nothing there. There's no value addition. And it's like a commodity game. We have more than 300 HMIS suppliers in India. I think we have huge amount of people in the US. But is there any HMIS that is really, really great? So we evaluated about the top, I think, 35 HMISs in India year before last. Not one, and I repeat, not one was up to the mark. So one of the things that I do struggle with when I'm talking to hospital managements and owners is, do you have the guts, the courage to actually take a stand and say, okay, I will standardize my processes. I will make sure that my patient gets the best care. I will ensure that we follow a standardized process. 15%, 20%, I understand will always vary because the patients vary. So that I think is a big challenge. HMIS itself, hospital management information systems, they are galore, but the challenge is how do you implement it? I've supervised, not done, supervised plenty of HMIS implementations, and the challenge is mindsets. Hospital management believes that if I bring in HMIS, all my problems will be solved. And what they don't realize is the moment you bring in technology, all your problems get escalated. They actually become a pain. All your inadequacies, they surface up. And that is something that you cannot manage by giving it to an IT team to do it. So I talk to CEOs and they say, oh, you're talking about technology. Oh, our tech guy will tell us. The tech guy has no clue. Absolutely no clue about what is healthcare management. So somewhere, and when I talk to tech guys, the first thing they say is, there's a whole thinking behind the technology people, and that is how can we reduce cost of healthcare by making physicians redundant? Can we ensure that the physician is not required? So we will put in an AI algorithm which will ensure that the doctor is not required for diagnosis or treatment. That's the end result. That's what they're thinking of. So you go to a doctor and say, boss, can you help me? Give me data. Give me all your input. Tomorrow I'm going to make you redundant. Now, who's going to cooperate with you? So this is another major issue that I face. It's a global epidemic. It's not something that is confined to India. So, but if you change the tone of the conversation and say, hey doc, can we work together to ensure that you do meaningful work, that you do value addition work, rather than wasting your time on non-value add activities? That will get us a buy-in. So there is this whole business of tech trying to deliver healthcare, ensuring that the physicians are kept out of the loop, or trying to achieve that. It's not going to happen. So I talked to some of these tech guys and said, if you're having an MI or a chest pain, do you think you will be able to look at your mobile phone, look at the algorithm, check, what I should be doing? Boss, you will be on the ground probably somewhere, and somebody else will be looking after you. So somewhere we have to understand that tech needs to work with healthcare in a more collaborative manner rather than being, some kind of loggerheads. I think 80% of these people here are doctors, and we all have our mindsets regarding tech, right? And we have had our experiences regarding tech, and most of that experiences have been negative regarding information technology. So I echo with you, and the solution is, can we create one proper HMIS using the latest technology? So we have to use things like engines, the algorithms have to be created in such a manner that they are able to provide service to a 50-bedded hospital and also a 5,000-bedded entity. So I ran Apollo hospitals. When I was running Apollo hospitals at 10,000 beds, 50 hospitals across different geographies. We created something called Med Mantra, which is now available in the US, right? So we are part of that. And we know how effective or how ineffective it is. Can Med Mantra be even afforded by even a 300-bedded hospital in India? It's $1 million in terms of just the license fees. Who can afford it? So, very mundane, very basic. Hospital ops can be standardized, and in order to standardize, we need to have a proper HMIS. Big challenge. Who's going to take it? Now I shift to another area, which is about high tech, right? So I would like to bring in personalized medicine in India in a big way. And so when we talk about personalized medicine, my colleagues here had mentioned about cancer. They talked about carcinomas, the whole gamut of screening for diseases, and then, early management, early treatment, and then, the post-treatment monitoring, all that everybody is aware of. Are you aware of the fact that in India, we are one of the biggest branches, which will probably be the future, is nuclear medicine, both theranostics, and there is a huge shortage of radiopharmaceuticals. Huge shortage. We don't. So if you look at a number of PET scans, if you look at US and Japan, they have 4 PET scans per 1 million population. So even if we go by 1/4 of that and say, okay, we should have 1 PET scan for a million population in India, we require about 1,500 PET scans. We only have about 500, less than 500. Huge requirement. Now, why is it that people are not putting in PET scans? Why? Because you don't have radiopharmaceuticals. If you look at radiopharmaceuticals, the only thing that we are producing is FDG or okay, fluorine. I'm talking a little technical, but because you asked me, I thought I would also, impress upon you guys that I can talk apart from mundane management to also some high-tech stuff. Now, we are importing technetium, which is the workhorse for SPECT. Is there an opportunity? Massive. Is there a requirement? Massive. Is the PMO interested? Yes. Now, who's going to take up the challenge of putting in cyclotrons in this country? We only have 28 cyclotrons. How will we ever deliver proper healthcare and treatment for cancer if we don't have the ability to do a PET scan? So, in one end, we are talking about I talked about basic HMIS as technology challenge. The other end, I'm talking about theranostics, and I'm saying there is a huge opportunity in both. So, India is probably where we can transfer technology from the developed countries, make it probably more price sensitive, and then we can export this to other countries of a similar nature. We operate hospitals in Africa, by the way. So I'm operating a hospital in Somalia. Can you believe it? So if I can operate a hospital in Somalia, I can operate a hospital anywhere in the world. So when somebody asks me, can you come to Somalia and manage a hospital? I say, are you kidding me? I mean, of all the places, Somalia. But then, we are managing it. And it's the largest hospital. But the fact remains that they require even the basic stuff that we take for granted, even in India. So can India become an exporter of healthcare to these countries? Can we provide expertise and technology to these countries rather than trying to give it back to the West or take it from there? So what I'm proposing is US cutting edge technology or Europe, bring it to India, make it commercially viable, and then India exports it to the rest of the world. Of course, India itself is a big market. So I talked about two things, sir. One about basic HMIs, healthcare management, hospital management. Next, I talked about the opportunity of providing cutting edge treatment and how can we make it effective in the world.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And for the next 10 minutes, Saurav, please share your experience, what you have achieved, where do you want to go, what problems do you see, how do you encourage people who think outside the box as opposed to people who think outside the building. Please share your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm really privileged to be part of this esteemed panel. And I'm probably the only non-doctor in this panel. No, maybe not. All right. So I'm actually a technologist, so I might have a little difference of opinion when I say some things. And I've been in this area for the past 20 years now. So I joined healthcare tech in 2006-07 when it was still not the mainstream, I would say, discipline in that area. And I've had the opportunity to work in US, in Canada. I worked for almost a couple of years in Latin America. And then I returned back to India in 2014-15. And it's very interesting, and I think I concur with a lot of things that have been said until now. I think when we talk about technology, there are actually two phenomena out here. One is what we call digital divide, which can be filled by putting technology. But the second side is what I call service divide. Now, these two necessarily are not the same. And sometimes we take both of them to be the same. And I think that has been the dichotomy when, sir, you said that, a lot of technology has come. in terms of, which boast of replacing doctors from Earth, I think that's the problem that has happened, right? So when I came back in 2014, I think what I thought was technology, the main role of technology is actually to strengthen the doctor's hands. That is how I started in 2014. And my problem was very simple. If you look in a country like India, we know that the doctor patient ratio is 1 is to 2000 is very high. But how many gastroenterologists do we have in India? 3000, 3500, if I'm not wrong. So your gastro ratio to people is 1 is to 500,000. That's the major problem, right? And if you see across the specialties, right, you will get very similar numbers, which means maybe 60 to 70% of India will actually never have access to specialist or super specialist going forward, right? So we are sitting out here, but I think this is a real problem. And I take this example all the time, when I came at that time, that if I have to go to Mumbai, I can take a first class flight, an economy flight, or a train, but I still reach Mumbai, right? Which means anyone in India should have the same healthcare outcome, irrespective of what money that person has in the pocket. The facilities can be different. And that is where I think technology can play a major role in terms of supporting doctors. And that's what I have been doing personally since 2015, 16. And today we are catering to around 400,000 doctors in India in terms of providing them those digital tools and services. Now, let me give you a couple of examples. I think case studies will be more relevant out here. So, and I like going around. So one of my passion is to actually go around, meet people. So there was this one time, there's a place called Kalimpong. It's in the hills in Himalayas. So there is only one or two, gynecological nursing homes in Kalimpong. Now, interesting part. So when I went there, when I met the gynecologist, everything is okay. But to get in USG, 90% of the women actually had to come down to Siliguri. Now, most of them did not come because either they did not have money, the roads were not working, a plethora of problems, right? Now, if you look, what's the solution? Well, in 2012-13, the Indian government said that, gynecologists can actually perform USGs. So what means is, can we actually bridge the knowledge gap where gynaes can perform that? And that's exactly what we did. So we went to the Radiological Association out here and we created a program through which training was provided to gynaes in those areas. And this was done mostly digitally. Maybe there were a couple of sessions which were physical. And I'm very happy to tell you that today, maybe 60 to 70% of the women can still get USG in Kalimpong. So it's a very small example I wanted to give you, which makes, a lot of difference. So now let me just switch back. I think because this conference is on AI, I can tell you what do I mean by AI, because I think a lot of us get threatened by AI, when we are talking like that. So if you think about the progression, right, in the past 20 years, 25 years, data is actually transformed into information. Information is transformed into knowledge. These three things, we have been doing pretty much either through books or, I don't know, through, other forms of technology which is there. Now, knowledge is actually transformed into wisdom, if you see, right? And wisdom is what gives you ability to make decisions. And you make those decisions, you learn from them, which again goes to feed the data. What AI is simply doing is actually taking you one notch above the ladder. So where we were until wisdom, now it is actually bridging the gap between wisdom and decision making. That's what AI is doing. AI is not going to make any decisions for us going forward. And I don't think that should happen ever, right? So that is what we did. And I'll give you an example. We just launched 6 months ago something called ADA. It's AI-powered doctor's assistant. So it's supposed to, help doctors. So this is built on a large LLM model where you can put the history of the patient, how much you know, and it actually spits out the differential diagnosis. So it gives you 4 or 5 diagnoses given the case history of the patient. It gives you a probability. It gives you why the LLM thinks that this might be the disease and the management, right? And I'll again give you an example out here. So we actually got a call from a doctor outside of Imphal. So the place where he is, there are no pediatricians. So he's actually a general physician, but he looks, across everyone out there. So he called us and he said, you know what? Oh, I think this tool is excellent. With this tool, I might have saved a life today. So that was what he said. With the tool, I might have saved a life today. And we asked him a little bit further. Now, he had not seen any case of meningitis until that moment. But when, with the symptoms that he got, he used the tool, the second option he actually got was meningitis. And the child was, fortunately hospitalized and was saved. So this was something, which the doctor accepted, or he said that, I used it to save a life. So that is where I think that the world is going. AI is more a savant that is there to, kind of support physicians in their run, I believe. And I think that is why even in the morning, I think I got, when I was speaking out there, I think we are talking about global public health right out today. Now, health is no more insulated. So there was a time where health was very local, but we are talking about global public health. So just very recently, last month, we actually signed a MOU with Johns Hopkins, where their division of infectious disease, right? And there's a big collaboration that needs to happen with the division of infectious disease, because if you're in US and if you don't get data from emerging countries like India, Africa, it doesn't help, right? That is all possible through technology. So we are helping them, to come gather data out here to make sure physicians are trained in the most, I would say, easy manner out there. So that is where I think there's a lot of use of technology in my head out here. And I think that is where we are committed to. We are committed to strengthen the hand of doctors, which we are going to continue to do. I'm really thankful for the time, sir, that you gave me. I don't think I took 10 minutes. I took maybe 7 or 8
No,
minutes.
you have done great. We would like to move to Mr. Karthikeyan, Dr. Karthikeyan, IPS and former director of CBI. For those of you who don't know, please go to the Wikipedia and find out who he is. And anyway, he has got a passion for healthcare, and in many ways, we want to share his thoughts and experience for the next 5 minutes. Sir, please go ahead about your concept.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm neither a doctor nor a technologist. I'm a layman. And how I happen to be here, invited by Dr. Anjana Samadar, and of course, a number of your leading functionaries are known to me. Udaya, Dr. Udaya Sivangi, was my ward in Belgaum. She was a student when I was Superintendent of Police Belgaum. Dr. Sampath Sivangi is here. He was a faculty. He was in the faculty of the Belgaum Medical College. And though I am not a doctor, I have a lot of members of my family are doctors. My son-in-law is a robotic surgeon in Melbourne. And I admire the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin for not only you have done well in America, but you also have concern for the people back at home. And I know you have been doing a lot of support to many of the deserving people here. And, as it was said, that not only India is a pharmacy of the world, I would say it is also producing country for doctors all over the world, actually. Large number of doctors, you have done well and brought pride to the country, and a huge contribution, of course. And now I am very much focused on integrated medicine now. So during the pandemic, what happened, we have known all these things. I've seen people, I am also advisor to the ambulance service, Green Health Ambulance Service. We run 15,000 ambulances in the country, the largest anywhere in the world, and very efficiently run. And we have an assessment. Because of our efficient service, we are able to save about 1,000 lives a day, every day today, even today, and 100 to 150 children are born in moving vehicles. That is there. And our people told that even earlier, our ambulances were almost like mini hospitals. We had oxygen for about 5 hours, but there are occasions when people were taken waiting at the door, hospital doors. Oxygen exhausted, no bed available. People died at the hospital gates. It's a fact of life. We can't forget all these horrible days. And I've seen people just uh, dying like flies. The whole family is gone. Then I was in the south. I wrote to the Honorable Prime Minister telling, me with a phenomenal memory, I don't seek favors. But why all this is happening? Both affordability and accessibility at that time. Only 50% of the population can afford to think of going to hospitals. Things are getting better, but even today. I said at the same time, I find people recovering miraculously by just naturopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, and of course IV ozone will become controversial, I know. I have seen recovering. I said, this being so, why not we encourage these things also? Let us do research. It was referred to Niti Ayog. I used to meet Dr. Vinod Paul, member Niti Ayog. He said, why are you after this? After distinguished service in police and CBI? I said, there no personal interest. I just can't see people dying just like that without access. Something is happening. I'm happy to see that in the new All India Institute of Medical Sciences, we are establishing this in every hospital, every state. They are going to introduce a department of integrated medicine. Why this hostility they generally believed about the allopathic doctors against the orthodox system is not awareness. So now from the beginning, from the first year of MBS itself, you are told there are other possibilities. Then they will not be, that hostility will not be there. That's one thing that is happening now. And also meditation, fortunately being accepted all over the world now, even by doctors. Dr. Sadhguru J.K. Vasudeva tells me, so many doctors in America also suffering from stress. Stress related. They say for every cause, ultimately stress is a factor now. So meditation, I promote meditation as a preventive medicine also. General health, preventive medicine, and many doctors who joined the Meridien courses which I have promoted. I promote all meditation courses. Every technology like the very way of getting. There's doctors with degrees from A to Z, they say, after going through, he said, we have ourselves prescribing meditation along with medication. When I wrote a newsletter a couple of years back, a research paper, telling meditation is medication, then Sri Ravi Shankarji, out of living, he said, no, it's even better. So I converted that paper as a meditation is miraculous. When I say Ayush, according to me, Ayush first is allopathic, then Ayurveda. There is no question of undermining this. There is no substitute to modern medicine, no doubt. But I want to appeal to all of you, please recognize the power of meditation. Bring down stress. When the less is stress, people fall ill less. Recovery is faster, very well. I understand, I don't know, you must tell me, in many of the hospitals in America, the channel music is meditation music. In the hospital beds also, they do it. And also non-fat vegetarian diet. These are all my belief, but I'm sure all of you, are all highly advanced people in this, better knowledge than me. You will agree to consider these possibilities and also encourage them and all these things. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, and give a big round of applause to all the participants. I request Dr. Anjana Samadar. Is she here around? Dr. Samadar? Please. Dr. Anjana Samadar will give a vote of thanks and also honor our panelists with a small memento.
Thank you, everyone. On behalf of RP, I would like to thank all of you for being here today and giving us your thoughts about healthcare and the different areas you guys all represent. So, once again, I would like to thank all of you for honoring us by being here today at the 17th Global Health Summit. Thank you. Dr. Shivangi, would you mind coming up on stage? And Dr. Siebel?
Dr. Shania Robinson. Mr. Suresh Anwar. He should come. Next one is Mr. Suresh Samuel. Yeah. Dr. Air Marshal Nair.
Let me come up for her.
Yeah, yeah. Come. Come, Bhavani. Dr. Bhavani, you want to give to Dr. Bhavani will give this to Mr. Sudarshan Jain. Dr. Sumul Raval, please, Mr. Karthikeyan. Saurav.
Thank you, Dr. Ramanan Srinivasan, for holding the fort for this particular panel discussion.